Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is Agree or Disagree, where we get into the latest Manchester United news and have a bit of a debate as to whether we agree with certain views or we disagree. And we ask you lot to get involved in the chat and the comments because it is live. Joining me as always, got Lauren.
Hello.
You all right?
I'm good, how are you?
You back from your holidays?
Yeah, it's
great.
great.
Good time?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, good to be back in Manchester, watching United, getting battered off Spurs. Hey, what more can you ask for? Also, we've got Chels, you okay?
Yeah, not bad considering everything.
Got off on the right foot, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's all just depressed. We just end it now. Also got Joe Smith, who's going to cheer us all up. Hey. How are you, brother?
Great.
Yeah?
Wish I was on holiday.
Yeah.
But we're not, and instead we have to endure Manchester United because that's the only thing that's the only verb to describe what you do with Man United.
You endure it. You
Yes.
survive Manchester United. Yeah. Let us know what you think about all these topics we're going to be getting into. Make sure as well you are hitting like, share and subscribe. If you don't know the premise of this show, I will make a statement and then we've all got these boards where we can hold them up and one side says agree, one side says disagree. So it's pretty self-explanatory. We'll either agree or disagree with the statement I have said. We'll also have polls running as well, so you can get involved in voting, or you can just comment, let us know your thoughts. The topic, as you may expect, is Erik Ten Hag. He's under a lot of pressure, is old Erik, because of a poor start to the season and not a great season last season despite the FA Cup win. The pressure has been piled on with that defeat to Spurs. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that and I want you guys to get involved and let us know what you think, whether you agree or disagree. So we'll start with an easy one. Ten Hag will be the Manchester United manager at Christmas.
Oh. So will be,
yes.
Whether you think he will rather than
he will
whether
be.
you want
he
him to
will be. Ten Hag will make Christmas. He will be the United manager at Christmas.
Just waiting for what Joe's going to put.
Hey.
There it is. It's unanimous. Lauren, I'll start with you. Why do you think he's done? Or why do you think he's not? When you say he won't make Christmas, how long do you think he's got?
2 games.
Because, Villa.
Yeah, and the reason I say this, because whenever a manager, you get the dreaded notification of being backed, the manager's being backed by the board, means they've got 2 games. And they're gone. I feel every time board comes out and says they're backing the manager, that's then saying he's gone.
He's done.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, I wouldn't have been surprised if he was sacked after Sunday's game. I wouldn't have been upset. I wouldn't have been shocked. His days are numbered. I think there's just so many problems now that we need something new.
Do you think he could turn it around if he was to win these 2 games emphatically? If we were to go to Portugal and batter Porto and then go to Villa Park and get a big win, do you think the board might reconsider? Or do you think it doesn't matter what he does in these next 2 games?
I mean, everything has to be perfect. It has to be an unbelievable game. It has to be a great performance. It can't just be us winning to save him. We have to prove that we deserve the win. It can't just be a cheeky 1-0 and we didn't actually play that great.
Okay.
It needs to be something exciting, I think.
Fair enough. Chels, where you disagreed. You don't think he'll be here at Christmas?
I don't.
Do you agree with Lauren? Do you think he's got 2 games or do you think he could stutter on a bit further?
I think this is a very important week in Ten Hag's career. I feel like, to be honest with you, for a while he's always been like a match or a game or a month away from getting sacked. It's always been that. I feel like it's always been that, especially recently.
Yeah.
And like Lauren said, I think even if we get a 1-0 win against Porto or we scrape a win against Villa and it's not a convincing kind of performance, I still think he's in danger because, like Lauren said, if they're kind of coming out and saying they're backing him, it's probably to try and throw people off and say like, look, he's got our support and stuff. But I'm not convinced that we are gonna magically kind of get a brilliant result against Porto and a brilliant result against Villa. I don't think much is going to change in 2 games. So I think international break, he'll be gone.
Joseph, me and you've spoken about this extensively, but we can talk about it again here on this podcast. You don't think he'll see Christmas? I know you've backed him. I know we all have got behind him. I think that's safe to say. Everyone sat around this table is giving him, our support.
Absolutely.
But do you think this is it's done now, or do you think he could carry on?
I think it's more than likely he won't make it till Christmas.
Yeah.
So that's why I've said disagree. I don't think it's impossible though, and I do think that it could turn around, and I would like it to turn around. And I think he can turn it around.
Yep.
But I think just on balance of probability, he's probably not.
Yeah.
The performances have been slightly different this season, other than the Tottenham one, which is the most recent one. So that's fair enough that gets more strongly weighted when you're looking at the year as a whole. But in terms of results, it's been shocking for over a year in the league. So that can't carry on forever.
No.
And it felt as though the sort of the Tottenham game was the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of fans, and I think that usually kind of leads the way in terms of a manager's future. I think before that, I saw positivity and optimism and, the Palace game was pretty good and we didn't deserve to lose to Brighton and this, that and the other. But the Tottenham one, everything felt different during that game. The performance was way worse again, like last season, and the fans just seemed, not everyone obviously, but there was a big turn that day. And I think for him to turn it back now would require, like Lauren said, good performances in a row, big wins, not like 5-6-0, but like a comfortable 2-0 against Porto, or beating Aston Villa by any means, I think is a good result. So that might be different, but the performances and the results have to align, and they haven't really done since we won the Carabao Cup. So why would it start now? I think it could, but I think it's unlikely.
I think it is unlikely. I think what you made a good point, Chels, about he's always a month away from getting sacked. It feels like that has been the case for about a year now. And I think even if he was to beat Porto and Villa comfortably, then after the international break, you've got Brentford at home. If you lose that, again, what's going to happen then when he's trudging off the pitch and we've lost and the fans are going mad? Is it going to be then another crisis meeting with the board? Then you've got Fenerbahce. Again, if you lost that, or you've West Ham, Leicester at home. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It feels like we'd just be stumbling towards another sort of vote of confidence, even if he was to win that. So I think he has done. Brian Casey, I think it was Brian Casey. Sorry, let me go through some of the comments. I've lost what he was said, then I'll find it. Do get involved in the comments in the chat. Let us know what you think. Jed's Dead Baby, who's been a member of the Academy for 21 months, says, I want Ten Hag to be the next Fergie, but I have the sinking feeling that he's Atkinson, able to win some trophies, but ultimately not good enough. Yeah, Ron Atkinson did win some FA Cups. Geeky Stuff says, I desperately want him to succeed. Love heart emoji. I do think if he loses his next 2 games, then it's curtains. Any kind of victory in both games will be okay.
Do we not think that's papering over the cracks though? If any kind of victory.
Yeah, like a 1-0 last minute winner.
Yeah.
We could have had an absolutely terrible performance again, but we get a lucky 1-0. Are you not just then
it depends,
papering over the problems?
To turn it around, really, just winning 2 games in a row doesn't really do that anyway.
No.
Beating Porto and Villa doesn't actually fix anything. All that is a sign that we might be moving in the right direction if it were to happen. So the whole thing of we're giving him 2 games, they have to really give him more than that, because if you're just giving him 2 games, well, winning 2 games in a row doesn't prove you're a world-class manager, and not winning them isn't any further proof than what we've seen already. So the whole you've got till the international break to prove yourself. What does 2 games matter? He's been here 2 years. How are we giving him 2 games?
You're right.
Does it make sense?
Do you remember when Ollie was under pressure and we had Spurs under Jose and we had City away?
Yeah.
And people saying if he loses those 2 games, he could be done for, and he won them both. But it felt different there because Spurs at home under Jose, it was his first time back at the club. Beating him was a big result.
Yeah.
And then go to the Etihad and City are having this fantastic run. And then we beat them and we deserved to win. And it was like we were 2-0 up till I think Otamendi scored in late on. But it was a good, solid performance. I know it was a lot of counter-attacking or whatever, but we took the lead in the first half and they were sort of chasing the game for the 80 minutes. And it felt differently than just getting a win.
Yeah.
Like, beating Porto, okay, fine. Beating Villa are a good team, but it's not the same as going to the Etihad and beating Manchester City. And I think he needed a bigger. If we had, say, Liverpool away and City away the next 2 games and he won them, then you might go crikey.
Yeah.
But I even think beating Porto and Villa isn't going to be enough for him.
That's what I mean. So unless they just get rid of him anyway, which could happen. But I think that what really needs to happen is you give him 10 games. And if we haven't won 6 of those 10, or because 2, like I said, 2 wins in isolation doesn't prove anything anyway. No. What we need to see is we're hard to beat again, and we can put teams away. So really, we need to, win 10 of our next 15, draw 2, lose 3 or whatever. That's really actually maybe we're a bit of momentum. You can't 2 wins either way doesn't matter anyway.
No.
You know, not even 6 points because 2 of them are in the Europa. like 3 Premier League points is going to be. Oh, he's actually sorry everyone, he's the right guy. It doesn't even make sense. United need to be sort of sensible about it. Either decide that it's not working or give him the next 10 games because otherwise it's not going to be proof that it's working anyway. No. 1 win against Villa in the league, what's that even mean? Nothing.
No. To be fair though, that's what makes me think it's inevitable that he probably will get sacked after 2 games because even if we do get a result against Porto and Villa, maybe the decision's already been made.
That's what I said. When you get
2 games, like you said,
backing
2 games
by the board, to me that's you're gone.
Yes, you're gone,
And also, looking at those fixtures post the international break, Brentford, Fenerbahce, West Ham, Leicester, Chelsea at home, PAOK, Leicester again in the league, Ipswich. It's not until you think you get a Bodo glimpse, Everton at home. It's not until you get to Arsenal away in the third. If you're a new manager coming into those games, it's quite an easy-ish run. Whereas if
that's till December as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
December.
Whereas if he gets another 10 games or whatever, and then gets sacked in the new manager's first games away at Arsenal, it's like crikey, you're not giving him much of a chance. The poll's quite even. Ten Hag will be manager at Christmas. Agree 47%, disagree 53%. So people sort of split on that. Doc Rock says, imagine trying to get fit by doing 1 or 2 sets at 6 different gyms expecting to be Colossus. We got to stick to a plan and let it work while weeding out the weak players. Gaffer isn't playing, so he's not blaming Erik Ten Hag. I think 2 things can be true. I think you can say the players aren't doing what they should be doing, and also the manager isn't getting the best out of them and hasn't tactically got it right this season. I'm going to move on from that. I'm going to do next one. I'm going to say Ten Hag is a better manager than Ange Postecoglou. What are you laughing at?
I knew you were going to do that.
It's the reason because you've been looking and you shouldn't have been looking at that. These are meant to be spontaneous. I'm meant to know. You're not meant to know, so you can just pat that in.
Ten Hag better than Ange?
Yeah, as a better manager.
Of course he fucking is.
Joseph.
Of course he is.
The floor is yours,
Go ahead.
What are we on about? Of course he's better than Ange. I know that we get compared to them like we should all wish that we were Tottenham when they never win anything and they don't even get top 4. Ange's a decent manager and he seems like a good bloke and he beat us at the weekend. But fucking you can beat anyone at any time. I'm not saying that result doesn't count and it does go towards how good he is. But City lost to Wigan in the FA Cup final. Is fucking Martinez a better manager than... I don't even know who's the City manager at the time, so fuck that.
Mancini.
Then Mancini, who's also won the Euros and I think won the Italian League as well.
Frank Lampard beat Jose with Derby.
It's just stupid.
Remember? I don't know one, not even Frank Lampard is saying he's a better manager than Jose Mourinho.
Ten Hag has won back-to-back trophies at probably the 6th best league in Europe, which isn't the 5th or the 4th or the 2nd or the 1st, but it's certainly better than anything Ange has ever won. And he's won trophies for an English team since arriving in England, and he's finished 3rd with that team. Like, come on. 1 game and a nice little season for Tottenham where they did all right but didn't get top 4. How is that convincing anyone that Ange is a better manager than Ten Hag? He's done less and he continues to do less.
You nailed it. He's a good bloke. He's a likeable guy.
I think that's why.
What do you think?
I think that's why Postecoglou is under less pressure than Ten Hag is, because he's a nice guy, calls everyone mate.
Yeah.
Don't know what it is. It's like this likeable character that no one wants to have a bad word against. Well, no, I actually do agree that Ten Hag is a better manager than Ange, but I do agree that Ange should be under more pressure.
Chels, where do you stand on this? I mean, this is what we've come to as United fans now. We're comparing the manager of our club to the underperforming manager at Spurs and having to defend the fact he just lost.
He's a better manager than Ange.
Right.
He is.
Okay.
Did better with Tottenham, but with Everton than a more impressive job at Everton than Ange's done at Tottenham.
Moyes did a great job.
He's won a European trophy with West Ham, which doesn't happen.
I can't wait for him to go back there as well to take over from Lopetegui. It's going to be
I asked a West Ham fan if they wanted him back. He said
It's going to be mint.
Sorry, I interrupted you there.
I don't even know what I was saying. No, I mean, I agree with you all. I just think that, to be honest with you, I didn't even know who Ange Postecoglou was before he went to Tottenham. I'd never heard of him. which goes to show that he's not really got...
Take a vested interest in Scottish football.
Yeah, obviously. I don't. I know Celtic and Rangers, so that's about it. But no, I just feel like obviously he hasn't particularly got any noticeable accolades. He hasn't got like the... Ten Hag has won trophies. He's won an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup with a pretty mediocre United team, and I think the expectation is a lot higher with us because of who we are. Tottenham are always just known for being average, and that's kind of what Tottenham are. So, an average manager for an average team, great, but I by all means wouldn't say he's better than Ten Hag, because what has he got to show for it? I would say Ten Hag's got more to show for it.
The polls agree with us. 71% agree, 29% disagree. Murphy Boy 23 says, how can a manager win if we just keep sacking them? Took Sir Alex Ferguson 6 years to win the league. Erik Ten Hag only in his third, give him a chance, we ain't Chelsea. I get that argument. I think the difference there, I think, with what happened with Fergie and what's happening with Erik Ten Hag, for starters, the whole Champions League thing is different. That wasn't a thing when Fergie was manager, and people look at that now. Have you qualified for the Champions League? That matters. Also, Fergie had that. His first full season, we finished second. His second full season was a disaster, and his third full season, he sort of managed to win the FA Cup, and it probably mattered more back in those days winning the FA Cup than it does now. And that was sort of the first step towards him becoming the Sir Alex Ferguson we knew. We won the European Cup that season, finished second the next season after that, and then we were away, we won the title. So he'd sort of built up towards that. It was probably halfway through that third season when we had an horrendous run, and Pete Molyneux got his flag out that say, Sir Alex Fergie and all that, that Sir Alex came close to getting sacked. But I think as well, what he'd also done is he'd absolutely changed everything behind the scenes. Because under Atkinson, the scouting department was a shambles. Everyone was an alcoholic. It was just a mess, and he changed everything. So that helped him a lot. So I do get this Ferguson comparisons. I just don't feel they're 100% fair and accurate. Right, here's one for you then. This has come up quite a bit lately. Ole Gunnar Solskjær would do better than Erik Ten Hag with the current squad. This is how we're going to word it.
I'm not answering this one.
You are. You've got to.
I don't want to.
Well, we all have to do things we don't want to.
I just don't want to answer it.
I will answer it for you.
I think it puts me in a... What's the question? Read it again so I can just...
Ole Gunnar Solskjær will do better than Erik Ten Hag with the current squad.
Better than him?
Yeah.
That's a tough question, isn't it?
That is really
Are we just
hard.
talking league or generally better?
Let's just keep it general. If you gave these group of players to Ole Gunnar Solskjær, he'd get better performances out of this group of players right now.
What, 2 years in?
Just he takes over. He just comes in
and is this, sorry, just because I need to be sure.
This is David Bremnes with so can it be something that doesn't exist?
I need to know what I'm answering
in real time, because I want to think of something that involves time travel, which obviously isn't real.
There's no time travel. I would like to know though, are we saying that Ten Hag long term can't do better? Or that right now...
I'm saying that. I'm going to make it simple, right? If Ole came into this team now, and you gave Ole Gunnar Solskjær the rest of the season, or if you gave Erik Ten Hag the rest of the season, Ole would finish higher and win more games.
Of course he would.
That was on me.
Of course he would.
Change my mind.
Oh, Chelsea's changed their mind.
I've changed my mind.
So I'm in the minority.
That's a hard one.
I don't think he would. You think he would.
Yeah.
Right. So why do you think Ole Gunnar Solskjær would get more out of this team than Erik Ten Hag?
I feel he was a better man manager. I feel he was quite personable, so I think he could... I feel there's a bit of a disconnect between the players and the manager with Ten Hag, and I know it's not all about personal friendships and things like that, but does build morale in a club. I think under Ole as well, I enjoyed the football more, and there's not to say we had much better players than we have now. I'd say probably on paper we've got better players now. And for most of the part, we were much better to watch than we are under Ten Hag. So I personally believe Ole could come back.
You think he could have come back?
Actually have him back?
Only for the rest of the season. I wouldn't go as far as to say, let's have him back as long-term manager. I'd take him back for the rest of the season, see what he could do.
Yeah. Give it Ole to under season.
Hey, sorry to say again.
Give it Moise.
It's Moise. Joseph, you agree that he can?
Short term, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's overall. I don't think he's as good a manager as Ten Hag is, unfortunately. No. But I don't think. I think if you brought him in now, you definitely have a boost. And even if you just give him the same team and it wasn't like you're taking over from Ten Hag, because it can't get much worse really at the moment in terms of 13th. Like, fucking hell, I could get us out of 13th, or I wouldn't be able to win as a Premier League. I think that was always my concern with Solskjær. And you talked about the City games and the big games that we were good in, and we won a lot of them. But the style of play in those games was overall, we admitted that they were better than us and tried to overcome that, which is good, and it can get you points short term. But at some point, you need to go, actually, no, we're better than you. Yeah. And I don't know if Ollie ever had that in him.
No, he didn't. No.
We're going to assert ourselves as the best team in England, not necessarily possession and all that, but there's always a bit of a timidity with Ollie that I think would cost us long term. But for the rest of the season, given one season each, I'd put Ollie against most managers for one season. He's second. He is a good manager. He's a very good manager.
He is a good manager. And when he took over from Jose, it worked because that's what we needed.
Yeah.
I just don't think Ollie coming into this is what we need now. I think Ollie's biggest flaw was he was a bit of a doormat at times. And I know, go back to that Watford game, Harry Maguire getting a needless second yellow and him high-fiving him as he walks off. Yeah. Never throwing his players under the bus, always being their mate, always sticking up for him. And you could see the lunatics were running the asylum at times. You could see that. You could see when the wheels came off, why they came off. And I think if he came in now, he'd struggle with the same things he struggled with when he got sacked. I think he'd have a bunch of players underperforming who were not listening to a manager and doing what they want and sulking. And I actually think someone like, I'm not advocating for either Ollie or this guy to come back. I think someone like a Jose coming in and get more out of him. Because I think he'd just start going berserk at him, dropping players that he didn't want, publicly calling them out. And I think some of them need a bit of a kick up the backside rather than an arm around the shoulder. So whilst I love Ole Gunnar Solskjær, both as a manager and a player, because he gave me some great moments as both, obviously more as a player, I just don't know. I think the way this is at the minute, I think you need someone who's going to come in and be a bit of a bastard. I think that's what this group needs right now. And that's not Ollie's forte. So I'm not so sure. Well, I'm like 51 disagree, 49 agree. You do think Ollie would get more out of this team?
I think he would. Again, not on a permanent basis, but for the rest of the season. I think one of the issues is now is I think Ten Hag has lost the dressing room. I feel like, and I feel like, and I know at the end of the day they get paid a lot of money. You know, they play for Manchester United. They should want to play, but I don't think they want to play for the manager. And I just think almost a temporary fix. Ollie, you know, he's respected at the club. He's well known. Like some of the players have played for him before. And like Lauren said, I think the style of football when we had Ollie, I feel like it kind of looked like he was building towards something. Whereas, I know Ten Hag's got the players that he wants, but I don't see like us building towards the way we play. So I think if he was to go, I think Ollie would not be a bad choice for the rest of the season. But again, I would go out for someone. I think I agree with you as well, where I think that we could do with a tough manager. We need someone who... But at the minute, I feel like they just need someone who's going to like... I feel like they need someone who's going to put their arm around them a little bit and just...
I get your point about the managerial bounce. And I think other than Ralph Rangnick, I think we've always had that.
Well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? A new manager's come in and all of a sudden everything looks... Oh, actually... this looks like, you know...
Moyes didn't really get it either.
Moyes didn't at all. Well, he did. We beat Swansea 4-1 and we won the Community Shield.
Yeah.
So, come on. There was your bounce, those two games. I don't think, actually, saying that, I don't think... Van Gaal, we were minting pre-season and the wheels came off when the season actually started. But when we've had someone come in, I think Carey did all right, didn't he, as interim, but then as caretaker, Ralph Rangnick didn't really do it. No. So you might get a bounce. I just feel... And also, from Ineos's point of view, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but can you imagine... You interview other managers, you don't give them the job. You stick with this manager.
I don't get that.
And then in October, you get rid of him and bring in someone that was the manager 3 managers ago.
Stupid.
That'd just look, I think, from an optics point of view, would look insane.
He was the most recent permanent manager. So it's even more insane.
Yeah. It is literally.
It wasn't good enough last time. He's good enough.
Well, it's like West Ham with Moyes.
And then you replace him with Tuchel, you interviewed who weren't good enough.
Yeah.
That's like, let's just go like whole hog.
What are people saying in the comments?
Let's have a look. Yeah, the vote's 50-50, you know.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Oh
my God.
Brilliant.
So,
50-50.
Most people agree with me, obviously. DRZ says, grateful to the man with a promising future that looks at the hot pile of crap that was our club and still decided to take the job. So bad, had to teach them to run lol. A donation for Joe, always stuck with the chalkboard. That's a nice little super chat there, thank you. Akash K.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
That, like, he had to make him run 16k the day after the game.
Yeah.
Because he didn't run.
And he had to run with him.
And he ran with him. I just think it's
Imagine
so
if Fergie did that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to run with you. What?
No.
Do you know what I mean? That's just
I like it.
Ridiculous.
I like it. That was a good move.
Akash K says, are we forgetting Man United would have to pay Erik Ten Hag 20 million to leave? Also, United have made a decade worth of changes in 6 months. It was never going to click overnight.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
Nev Talks Warhammer says, Porto and Villa are finished. Come back to this. Okay. I think there was one I missed. Harry David says, Ollie with Roy Keane as assistant, problem solved. I think Roy Keane...
Solved and 1,000 problems created.
I think Greater Manchester Police have arrested a 50-year-old man at Old Trafford for assault. As Roy Keane just starts snapping jaws.
A man has been arrested after he welded the face of 2 underperforming footballers together.
Do you know what I mean?
Maybe doing some good.
The good news is we've not got any injuries other than half the squad because Roy Keane's battered him.
Yeah. No one's injured. They're all dead.
Yeah, there is no squad.
I don't know if I read this out, so I'll read it out again just in case. This is Esam has been a member of the Academy for 10 months. Esam 28, sorry. It's a process and fans should focus on that. It's a long-term project, not short-term. The board is building something new and Erik Ten Hag deserves our support. I'm going to change something slightly now because I feel like a lot of these are just, we're going over variations of Erik Ten Hag and we get it. It's a hot topic and we can sort of discuss different ways of saying whether he should go or not. So we'll blue in the face, but we'll do something a little bit differently. We'll just look at some of the squad. Zirkzee would play better alongside Højlund up front.
No, you're wrong. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry, everyone.
so it's Joseph this time who's in the minority. Lauren, I'll start with you before I get to Joe. You think he would? You think it's time to put him up top with, well, the 2 up top?
Yeah, because I think he's better at kind of creating a little bit more, So if you can kind of, we still have them both up top, but you can drop back slightly.
Yeah.
For Højlund, I think he could do that. I'm struggling to find much good to say about Zirkzee at the moment, but I think in terms of better than now, if he was next to Højlund, yes, because I think he could create a little bit more with the ball at his feet than just he's in the right position, but he never quite gets there.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Joe, you disagree?
Yeah.
Why do you not think this is the best idea? Not saying it's a bad idea, but it's not the best.
Because no one plays 4-4-2 anymore. Half the squad won't even know what to do. You're trying to teach them a new tactic where now we've got 2 strikers and we've not had 2 strikers in 10 years. No other teams play 4-4-2, so it's hard to even like what version of 4-4-2 actually even works against other modern teams because it's so rare. I mean, I know some teams do really, but very, very few of the top teams do. Højlund's never played in that position for United. Rashford's never done that. Ahmad's never done that. I mean, he's never played any games for anyone, so that doesn't really count. Garnacho's never done that. We've got less people in midfield actually giving those people the ball in the first place now because we've just taken one out to put another striker in. I think you could have some success with it at times, but I'd worry about getting the ball to them.
Yeah.
I know you got Dalot tucking in, and we sometimes have a little bit of a different formation anyway, where Bruno will push quite far up. But then you got to drop Bruno for that, which maybe at the moment might be a good thing. But I think overall you're losing your most creative player there, and the numbers back that up. I think that what Zirkzee needs to start doing is putting the fucking ball in the back of the net. It doesn't. Don't worry about I can't shoot, so let's have someone next to me who can. Well, what happens when you've got the ball 8 yards out?
Yeah.
Rasmus, quick! Put it in for me, please! You do it. He's still going to be there. The man that is Joshua Zirkzee is, if he's playing roughly how he does now, he's going to be getting on the end of chances. And if he doesn't start scoring them, it doesn't matter who's next to him. He's the one who's got to put it in when the ball's at his feet. So if he can't do that, playing him anywhere is not really going to help. Everyone in any attacking position has to be able to score from 12 yards out. That's just the game. So if you can't do that, putting Rasmus Højlund next to you isn't going to help you.
I would say, when I said I'd agree, I did to a certain extent. I think this could work, and I think it could work maybe even for the next game or two with Højlund, with Zirkzee sort of behind Højlund, and give Bruno a breather. Because I know he got sent off. He only played half a game the other day. He just looks goose to me. Yeah. He needs to come off. He needs a rest. And I didn't want that red card to count. I'm not saying we could have done the 3-game ban because I think that's nonsense. But I actually would I don't know, it probably won't happen because you're not going to drop your captain when the pressure's under you. But I wouldn't mind if Bruno was rested and if Zirkzee played in that almost Bruno role and you had Mainu and Ugarte as just almost like traditional midfielders a bit. Like I know there's a lot of running there, but Zirkzee drops so deep at times. He's almost like a midfielder.
Yeah,
It'd be interesting to see what Zirkzee's actual passing range is. Because for now he's a decent, hold it up, find a 10-yard pass to your winger sort of striker, can flick it around the corner. But do you know when Bruno's tasked with like a 50-yard pass into the flanks, or someone's making a tricky runner behind and he'll just chip it over the defence? Like, so, I know he gets it wrong a lot as well, especially at the moment. But like Bruno's pulled out some passes that just because you're a decent link-up number 9, you haven't got the Bruno Fernandes passing range.
No.
Like that would be interesting to see if Zirkzee does, or is he just, wow, he's a big, tall, kind of bulky guy and he can pass, or is he an elite passer? We don't really know yet.
It was just so fucking shit at the weekend, wasn't it? It was just so it just fucks everything. Because Zirkzee was shite, and it's like, well, hang on a minute, I rated him, and he's fucking terrible. What is he doing? Like, fucking De Ligt went to the dogs. Everyone was rubbish.
Ruined everything that game.
Yeah, and I can't make an assessment on anything off that game, because if I looked at it, I just think they're all crap. And they're obviously not. But they were terrible.
Yeah, that game, that game has just ruined everything.
Everything for everyone.
Every argument I've got is completely undermined by that fucking performance.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah, Chels, you
contradicted everything we've said before.
A partnership there. I mean, we're reaching for something.
Well, it's because at the end of the day,
anything has got to be better than this.
Yeah, based on the Tottenham game, I don't have anything positive to say. I don't want to stick with it because it was just so shit. And like, I feel like Zirkzee, he covers a lot of ground, and you know he's always running about the place. But I feel like he's not that out and out number 9 striker, that he can't take his chances. No. So I think, and I tweeted this the other day, and I'm not saying that Bruno's red card should have stood because it shouldn't at all. But I did tweet saying like, oh, maybe it's a good thing that Bruno's got a red card because he's been shy and needs to be dropped.
Get out.
I'm not saying it. I'm glad.
Can we start checking the tweets of the guests?
It's
basic background checks, guys.
I'm glad it was rescinded. I am glad of it. But I also think he's not been great. He was shit when he was on, and we were shit when he came off. And I just think Zirkzee does drop a bit deeper. Why not sort of try it against the team? Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, we're already getting battered anyway.
That's that to Ten Hag's kids in private school. What's the worst that could happen? Our whole life might go to shit.
Still get a payout. It's fine.
That's true.
But no, I just feel like it's the way things are going and the way things went against Tottenham. I just feel like, why not try something new? Like, it could work. It might not, but it could. And
right. Agree 68%, disagree 32%. Got one more quickly we're going to do. Because I can't remember who it is. I think it might be you.
Oh, no.
There's a strong opinion on it.
Is it that the fish is actually the main part of a fish and chips? You can take the chips to the
tip of the lid. It's not your opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Onana has improved significantly recently.
Significantly?
Yeah.
How recently?
Yeah, we need a time frame.
All right,
how recent?
Jesus Christ.
Come on.
The last month. I can't see what's... Me and... we all agree except Joseph.
Oh, yeah.
Stop disagreeing with me all the time.
I thought he was the only one against Spurs. I thought
only redeemable player.
I thought he was robbed at Palace for the man of the match.
Yeah.
I thought he had a better game than Dean Henderson, but the narrative was Dean Henderson against his old club. So
if it wasn't for Onana against Tottenham, I think we would have been probably 8-0, 7-0 down. I think he really stepped up that game when no one else did.
I do. So I think that he has improved.
Yeah.
Joseph, you disagree?
He had loads of good games last season. He had loads of clangers, which overall the season isn't a great one for him. No. But he had loads of good games. From like Christmas to about April, he was almost flawless in the league. And I thought he really had a big upturn in form around Christmas. He then sort of ended the season with a couple of bad performances.
Issue.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of last season, he was like how he's been this season. Also, he was, I think, at fault for the goal that FC20 scored. He just completely gave away his near post. Just moved out of the way, expecting him to curl it far post, which he always does, and I talk about it all the time. He predicts to the point of he's out of the way of where the shot is if it doesn't go the way he thinks. He did it with that Timo Werner one. Werner's one-on-one. He takes a big step to his left, and Werner's so thick, and also it's good predicting from Onana that he just put it straight into him. But
that's got to give him creepy credit though. He's saving his shot.
Credit that's saying Werner, and it's
he read
credit to Onana. Yeah. Well, he doesn't think I don't think he reads it. I think he predicts it, which is, I know, sort of one and the same. But at times, like he did with the Salah goal, that makes him look really silly because he's a yard out of position, not just a little bit.
I just feel like I think the last 3 Premier League games have probably been his best in a long time.
But it's sandwiched in there was that FC20 goal, which I think he should have saved. He's near post from that angle. He shouldn't be being beaten. I'm
not saying but he's not perfect, but he's not had a run like that for a while.
No, but since last season, I think I think he was a little bit better last season than, I'm not saying than you do, but I think people sort of look back and go, he was terrible last season.
No, he started off terribly, didn't he? And then he had you say, he had a purple patch, for want of a better term. What do you reckon? Because you've been one of his fiercest critics. You don't like him at all, do you?
Hates him.
What is this? No, I like him.
Oh, right, sorry.
Yeah.
Who's the one you don't like? Is it Delo? I've got it wrong. Sorry. There is a Delo question. We'll sneak that in. Go on.
I don't know if I want to. I don't want to be in a bad mood.
Right, okay, we'll leave the Delo one. In fact, it's a bit of a ridiculous question considering the form he's in, so we'll leave the Delo one.
Yeah, maybe not.
We'll end on this. So go on, what do you think of Onana then? Because Joe makes a good point, like, it is slightly dismissive to say he was bad last season, because he wasn't. He was good for a chunk of it.
I've actually always rated him. Like, I've really, I like him. But as you said, like, he's had some clangers. Like, when he has a bad game, it's pretty bad. And that is a big problem. But I do think recently he has improved his form and he doesn't scare me as much as maybe he used to.
Do you know what I think as well? A lot of the time with goalkeepers, they say things they expected to save.
Yeah. And I think they're playing out from the back though.
I see it all the time. And I don't want to keep going on about it, but that Dean Henderson fucking player of the match. He saved it, every save I expect him to make. Yeah. And I think the one that was the Litz header was quite good. But again, I don't know he knew much about it.
No.
So
good position.
Yeah, and I think that I've not watched the game back and I never will. No. But on Sunday, I thought they were going to score. I thought it was a goal. And so that's why.
Really well.
Yeah,
he
that's
did really, really well.
And that double save, was it Palace?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the
very
penalty
good.
at Southampton with the best penalties. Bloody hell, how many of them do we save? So yeah, I get your point, Joe. It's 50-50, innit?
I think he has got a bit. I think he is in good form.
Yeah.
But I think it's sort of matching the good form he had at times last season.
I think that's a fair comment.
But he is playing well.
Chels, you have the final word on this.
I think I'm just kind of swayed by the Tottenham game, to be honest, because he is the only player in that game that I think couldn't have anything to say. You can say anything good about. Because, like I said, he kept that game from being probably 8-0. Again, against Palace, he was brilliant. So, yeah, like I said, I know he's been good last season and he's had his clangers and he's had this, but I think he's improved.
Do you know what annoys me about that Spurs game, right?
Everything? Everything.
I shouldn't say this, but I've been thinking about it a lot. Yeah, and I'm going to get hammered now. This is where I lose the room.
Oh, here we go.
Right. Everyone has said it, and I've said it myself. We were shit before Bruno got sent off, right?
We were. Yeah.
But I watched Spurs at the beginning of the season against Leicester.
I know what you're about to say.
And they, in the first half, dominated the game.
How good were they in that first half?
Dominated the game.
Unreal.
Everyone was saying Leicester relegated. This team's going to get fucking... They're going down. Yeah. The second half, Leicester came out and Spurs fell apart and was shit. Yeah. And only drew.
To be fair, in the second half, we were a little bit better.
I'm not saying we would have. We probably would have. But the idea it doesn't matter is fucking nonsense. We very well could have come out of that second half with 11 men and made a game of it.
100%.
And got some out of it. I'm not saying we would have, but this whole idea that the red card didn't matter... And I've said it myself, so I don't contradict what I've said earlier, because I was that depressed. I was just ready to sack all the players and fucking the manager can join them and it's all shit. But that red card did matter.
Massively.
And we could have.
It always does. Going down to 10 men will always matter, regardless of how you were playing before.
The Tottenham-Leicester game is a perfect example, because Leicester were diabolically bad in the first half, and Tottenham were like... prime Arsenal, prime City, prime United.
They were
unbelievable. But I mean, like modern this season.
Not
90s United.
Rooney.
But like, it was genuinely, I couldn't believe what I was watching.
No, I couldn't.
1-0, 2-0.
Something like
and then Leicester got it back and should have won. Vardy was clean through on goal.
Yeah, he should have got the winner.
Yeah, and like that is a good point. The red card. I said this at the time. The red card didn't. it like didn't lose us the game, but it ensured that we couldn't win it.
Perfectly put.
Like there was no way of winning that game after that. And realistically,
I think because my anger's sort of subsided a little bit now, I've been able to be slightly more rational.
Yeah,
I'm not as it resolved, because if you hang on a minute,
it does matter.
And also, it's not like Spurs aren't well known for crumbling.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've always got one in them. That's the whole problem with this Poch team. Put that on. The whole thing with this Ange team is that as games get later and later, they sort of panic a bit, and they're always susceptible to counter-attacks. And United have got good counter-attacking players. Like I said, if the performance stayed anything like the same, it would have been 3-0
I'm not saying it cost us the game, but you put it perfectly. It cost us the chance to get back in.
I think there was a spell in that second half where we, like probably 10-15 minutes, where we looked like we could have scored. And I think having that extra man on the pitch probably could have consolidated that, but it was just, I think we were too far gone by that point to even come back from it.
And I think Erik Ten Hag noticed that, so he made some changes, didn't he?
Yeah.
You can forget it, getting back into the game.
Yeah.
I know what you're not thinking.
To be honest, I thought Casemiro was the reason for the second goal, I think it was. But I don't think he played that bad when he came on Sunday.
No.
Really, I really don't.
Yeah, he was.
So one change is all right.
It's bad though, isn't it? Because it's like people are looking at you, guy already going.
No.
Finished.
One Premier League start into his career, and
he's already written off.
Honestly, he's just ruined everyone's opinion in this game.
The whole team shit.
Yeah, they're all crap.
67% said agreed Onana has improved significantly. Loads of people just disagreeing with what I said about the thing, but Brian Casey makes a good point. De Gea was shocking for his first 2 seasons, and we kept faith in him, and he went on to become a club legend. Sweaty Ollie Legend says Chris Kavanagh and VAR should face punishment.
Correct.
They should be made to watch United week in, week out.
It's a shame that you don't get anything. You don't get anything for that. But they've admitted that that shouldn't have been a red, and they've got VAR.
What is the point in VAR if you can rescind a red card afterwards?
They've watched it many times during the game, and I just don't understand how they can just look back a few days later and be like, actually, maybe that wasn't a red.
Because they all buy into it. And do you know all this shit? I know this isn't the show for this. But do you know all this thing of like,
why not?
You hear all these former pros, elite level refs chatting, doing podcasts. What's his name? The one that looks like a baby vulture. He does it all the time. Then you've got the one that went off and did the Clattenburg. He's one. Who's the one? Mike Dean.
Mike Dean, yeah.
He looks like a baby vulture. Right? They do all these fucking podcasts after they retire going, I only gave him a yellow because the manager was looking at me funny. Oh, I didn't want to get my mate in trouble. They all just admit that they fucking make it up, and they do it based on like gut instinct. Or, I crashed my car that morning, so I was fancying a red card. Like, we assume that refs are just like robot droids that just make the right decision. They're just humans fucking going, you shouldn't have dived in, should you, Bruno, you twat? I don't like your little face, and you've dived in there. So it's like, we assume, it's not doing that. They do. Yeah. And they admit, after they've retired, half of them go, I didn't even see it, but I just thought I'd give it a red because it's funny. Like, they're just fucking shit. And we're pretending like, no, they wouldn't have made a mistake. VAR probably just went, yeah, it's Bruno. They're having a crap time. They're playing terribly. The manager's on the ropes. Bruno Fernandes is a knobhead anyway. We're not even going to properly look at it. And that might just be it.
I think they bottled it as well, of him doing that at Old Trafford and then them telling him he got it wrong with the crowd and everything.
Yeah, because the crowd would go
ballistic. And any decision he did then.
I didn't want to send him I didn't want to send him to the screen because I knew that the crowd would go.
The crowd, yeah.
Oh, right.
If he'd given him
the screen then,
And I think they shit it. I'll name this podcast later as gifted a Paddock membership. Thank you. Right, the scores are: Ten Hag will be manager by Christmas. The studio disagree, and the chat 53% disagree. So just. Yeah, people don't think he will be the manager by Christmas, obviously. Ten Hag is better than Ange Postecoglou. We agree that he is, and the chat agree by 72%. Solskjær would do a better job than Erik Ten Hag with the current squad. The studio agree with that, and the chat was 50-50 split.
950.
Wow.
So that shows, doesn't it, where we're at, really. Zirkzee would be better alongside Rasmus Højlund. The studio agree with that, and the chat agreed to the tune of 68%. And Onana has improved significantly this month. This last 2 days.
What is he, Bitcoin?
Yeah.
He's 27 years old. How could he have improved significantly? He's amazing. He just learned to use his left hand. Can I use this? Yeah. Of course he can. Anyway, sorry everyone.
No, come on. The studio agree with that, other than Joe. And the chat agreed to the tune of 66%. So it's quite even there with a lot of those, lot of the chat and discussions, and I think we're at this stage, aren't we, where there's still a little bit of anger and depression and all that deflation, but maybe a little bit more reflection. Aditola Quadri has gifted a Stretford Paddock membership as well.
Cheers,
Thank you. We appreciate that. Brian Casey, who's been a member of the Academy for 20 months, says Erik Ten Hag took over Ollie's team, finished third and won a cup. By that metric, Erik is better. You're welcome. And I think we're going to wrap it up there. Go and check out everyone on socials. You know where to find them. You'll see them tagged in to the social media post. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you for having me.
We'll get to Delo next week.
Okay.
I'll
be happy then. I just need to be in a bad mood.
We need to cheer up by then.
Yeah.
It'll be international break.
Chelsea is going to go back on Twitter and apologise to Bruno Fernandes.
I will.
Chelsea, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
We'll be back later on, me and Joseph, with Paddock Live, so make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. That's been Lauren, that's been Chelsea, that's been Joe, I've been Jay. This has been Agree or Disagree. Thanks for watching.